Let's be honest for a moment. The people who openly dislike you, the ones who roll their eyes, avoid you, or argue with you, those aren't the ones you should fear. The real danger often comes from someone who smiles at you, laughs at your jokes, maybe even offers a helping hand, while quietly wishing you were gone from their world. Completely. Permanently. And here's the unsettling truth. Right now, without your awareness, someone in your orbit could be plotting against you. Not with loud threats or dramatic confrontations, but with silence, charm, and precision. Most people never recognize the signs until the damage has already been done. Hatred is loud, but intention, the dangerous kind, is quiet. It hides behind politeness, friendliness, and seemingly harmless gestures. And because we humans are taught to assume the best, to be nice, to give people the benefit of the doubt, we often overlook the warning signs until they're standing right in front of us. This video isn't made to scare you. It's made to wake you up. Because whether we like it or not, the world contains people who operate in shadows, people who don't just dislike you, but feel threatened by your existence, your success, your confidence, or even your simple presence. And they don't want you hurt. They want you removed from their path, permanently. I've seen this pattern play out in workplaces, families, friendships, even romantic relationships. Someone acts warm, supportive, generous, but the energy beneath it, cold, calculated, strategic, and if you look closely, the mask always slips just long enough for you to notice something feels off. Your instincts whisper. Your stomach tightens. Your peace feels disrupted. But like most people, you probably brush it off. Maybe I'm overthinking. Maybe they're just being nice. Maybe it's all in my head. It's not. Today, we're cutting through the fog. What you're about to learn are 5 chilling, overlooked signs that someone doesn't just hate you, they want you out of their life entirely. These aren't guesses. They're behavioral patterns grounded in psychology, human nature, and real-world cases. And recognizing them early isn't paranoia, it's survival. So take a breath. Stay with me. And by the end of this video, you'll see people and their intentions with a clarity you've never had before. Because awareness isn't fear. Awareness is power. Side GN1. The silent observer. Have you ever met someone who doesn't cross your boundaries with loud words, but with quiet footsteps? The kind of person who doesn't confront you directly, doesn't argue, doesn't make a scene. Instead, they watch. They study, they calculate. And while everything seems subtle on the surface, something inside you whispers, "This doesn't feel right." I'm not talking about the usual social media lurking that everyone does from time to time. I'm talking about intentional observation, the kind that takes effort, planning, and purpose. The silent observer isn't just curious about you. They track you. They pay attention to your routines, your habits, the exact times you show up at certain places. They notice your gym schedule, the cafe you stop by after work, even the route you take when you want some quiet time. At first, it might look like coincidence. They show up at the grocery store. Okay, sure. You run into them at the gym, maybe you just picked similar hours, but then it happens again. And again, and again. Soon, the pattern becomes impossible to ignore. It stops feeling random and it starts feeling intentional. I once knew someone like this, Christine, an ex who insisted she had moved on, and yet somehow, no matter what changes were made, a new gym, a different coffee shop, even a shift in work hours, she still appeared, always at the right moment, always with the perfect excuse. And there was a point where doubts started creeping in. Am I overthinking this? Am I being paranoid? That's exactly what a silent observer relies on, your self-doubt. They want you to question your own instincts, to believe that you're the irrational one. They chip away at your ability to trust yourself, until you start accepting behavior that should never feel normal. The ancient Stoic teacher Epictetus warned us about this. He said that a wise person never ignores the things that disturb their inner peace, because the moment you dismiss your discomfort, you hand over your power. Stoicism isn't about being emotionless, it's about being aware. It's about recognizing when something violates your boundaries and having the courage to acknowledge it. A silent observer may never raise their voice, but their presence becomes loud, it becomes heavy. You feel it before you fully understand it. And that feeling is there for a reason. So here's the simple truth. If someone starts appearing in your life far more often than logic can explain, if their presence no longer feels like coincidence, but choreography, that is not destiny and it's not bad luck, it's a red flag, your peace is precious. Your privacy is sacred, and your intuition is wiser than you think. The moment a person's coincidental presence becomes a pattern, you don't ignore it, you don't excuse it. You notice it and you protect yourself. Because in life, the people who threaten our peace aren't always the ones who shout. Sometimes, they're the ones who watch. SIGN 2, the saboteur strategy now, the second sign is far more dangerous than simple gossip or petty drama. This one is calculated, strategic, designed with intention. I call it the saboteur strategy when someone works quietly, patiently, and methodically to damage your reputation without ever getting their hands dirty. See, a normal person who dislikes you might complain, vent, or even say something unkind in the heat of the moment. But a saboteur? They don't attack directly. They don't accuse you openly. Instead, they plant seeds, little hints, subtle comments, questions designed to make others wonder about your character without ever hearing a clear accusation. It sounds like this: I don't know, maybe they're just not as reliable as they seem. Or, hey, did you notice how they reacted the other day? Kinda strange, right? Nothing explosive. Nothing you can call them out on. Just enough to make people tilt their heads a little. And what makes this strategy so effective is that they don't spread these hints to just one group. They spread them everywhere. Your coworkers, your boss, your friends, even your family. Before long, the people you trust start acting differently. Conversations feel colder. Opportunities disappear without explanation, and suddenly, you feel isolated, surrounded by confusion, stuck in a fog. And here's the most painful part. You start questioning yourself. You wonder, what did I do wrong? Why is everything falling apart at once? Is it me? That's exactly the point of the saboteur strategy. Not just to turn others against you, but to make you turn against yourself. Every small event feels unrelated when it happens. One misunderstanding here, one rumor there, one awkward shift in someone's tone. But when you step back, you realize it wasn't random. It was a campaign. A quiet, deliberate attempt to break your confidence from the inside out. The Stoics warned us about this kind of mental fog. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The obstacle becomes the way, but when your reputation is being attacked from the shadows, that obstacle is covered in mist. You can't see where the hits are coming from. And when you can't see clearly, you lose your ability to judge wisely. So how do you deal with a saboteur? You don't chase every rumor. You don't try to explain yourself to every person who hears a half-truth. That only makes you look guilty and exhausted. Instead, you keep evidence. You stay grounded. You hold on to your character, the one thing they can't fabricate or destroy. Because reputation is what others think of you, but character is who you truly are. And character always wins long-term. A saboteur can shake your world. They can slow you down. They can make you doubt yourself. But they cannot define you. The moment you choose clarity over chaos, truth over fear, and integrity over panic, their strategy falls apart. Because no matter how deep the fog, the person who stands firm will always find the way through. SIGN 3, the false friend facade. Now, let us talk about one of the most deceptive signs of all, the kind that doesn't come with hostility, drama, or conflict, but with warmth, with friendliness, with a smile so gentle and a presence so helpful that you barely notice something is off. This is the false friend facade, when someone suddenly becomes extremely close to you for no clear reason. They're not building a friendship, they're gathering information, and it always starts subtly. A stranger or an acquaintance begins showing unusual interest in your life. They ask about your daily routine, where you usually go, what time you wake up, what stresses you out, what you fear, what you've been through, your relationships, your personal history. At first, it feels good to be heard. It feels comforting to have someone who seems genuinely invested. But over time, the pattern becomes clear. They aren't just listening, they're collecting. Because their goal isn't connection, it's access. They position themselves close to your family, your friends, even your coworkers. They offer help, favors, solutions, anything that gives them deeper entry into your world. They want to know your vulnerabilities, your insecurities, your soft spots. And every conversation feels supportive, but somehow you walk away revealing more about yourself than you planned. One of the most dangerous tactics they use is emotional mirroring, reflecting your emotions, your values, your beliefs, just to make you feel like you've found your person. You say you're stressed, they say they understand completely. You share a fear, they reveal a fear of their own. You admit a past trauma, they suddenly have a similar story. It feels like instant chemistry, but it's engineered. The Stoic philosopher Seneca warned us strongly about this. Trust should never be instant. True trust is built slowly, through time, consistency, and character, but a false friend rushes the process. They speed it up. They want you to feel safe before you've had time to observe their intentions. So how do you protect yourself? You slow things down. You don't match their speed of intimacy. You keep your private information private. And most importantly, you pay attention to timing. If someone becomes deeply invested in your life too fast, too intensely, without a real foundation, that's not a connection, that's a strategy. Real friendships grow naturally. They unfold with time. They strengthen through shared experiences, not information extraction. But when someone pushes too hard, too soon, wanting access to every corner of your life, that is a red flag. Because a true friend earns your trust. A false friend demands it. And the moment you recognize the mask, the moment you see the difference, you reclaim control over your peace, your privacy, and your power. SIGN 4. Escalating aggression. The fourth sign is one of the most frightening, not because it starts loudly, but because it starts quietly. Dangerous people almost never reveal their true intentions in the beginning. They don't open with violence, anger, or threats. They start with tests, small, subtle acts designed to see how far they can push you before you react. They might make jokes about violence. They might touch you casually without your permission. They might step too close, ignore your discomfort, or invade your personal space. On the surface, these moments seem harmless, just unusual, just awkward. But in reality, these are boundary tests, tiny experiments to measure how alert you are, how confident you are, and how much disrespect you're willing to overlook. And when you don't push back, when you stay polite, when you let it slide because you don't want to overreact, that's when they escalate. Let me share a real case from 2016. Leah had just moved into a new apartment building. New beginnings, new neighborhood, new energy. Everything felt normal. Until she met Adam, friendly but strange. Curious about her schedule in ways that didn't make sense. Showing up at the exact moments she left or returned home. Making dark jokes about knowing how to hide a crime. Comments that were easy to brush off once, but harder to ignore after the fifth time. Then things escalated. One morning, Leah stepped outside and found a hunting knife placed right in front of her door. A message without words. She checked the building as security camera, and what she saw was worse than anything she imagined. Adam, at 2 a.m., trying to break into her apartment with a bag of tools. Later, police found Adam's journal. Inside, maps of Leah's daily movements, notes about her routines, and a chilling phrase, execution window. This didn't happen overnight. It began with jokes, then with invading her space, then with watching her schedule. Step by step, test by test, more aggressive each time. The Stoic philosopher Seneca said, "To foresee is to be armed," meaning awareness is protection. Recognizing small red flags early is what keeps you safe from the bigger ones later. Because people who escalate aggression rarely jump straight to the final step. They build up to it. They test your boundaries. They study your reactions. And every time you ignore that uncomfortable feeling in your gut, they see an opening. So here's the truth you must remember. If someone repeatedly crosses your boundaries, even in small ways, it is not an accident. It is not a joke. It is not harmless. It is a pattern. Nothing dangerous ever starts big. It always starts quietly, then grows louder with every test you fail to challenge. When you draw the line early, you protect your safety, your peace, and your future. And in a world where true danger hides behind charm and silence, your awareness becomes your best shield. SIGN 5, the patient predator. Now we arrive at the final and most unsettling sign, the kind of person you rarely see coming. Not because they're loud, reckless, or aggressive, but because they're the exact opposite. This is the patient predator, someone who waits, watches, observes, someone who never rushes, never threatens, and never shows their hand too early. Unlike impulsive people who lash out, the patient predator has only one strategy: time. They don't attack quickly. They don't confront you openly. They don't make you nervous, at least not at first. Instead, they study you quietly, sometimes for months, sometimes for years, until they know exactly when you're most vulnerable. And during that time, they work hard, very hard, to make you trust them. They show up when you need help. They act kind, reliable, supportive. They become the person you feel safe telling things to. But behind that calm appearance, they're taking notes. They pay attention to details most people overlook. They want to know, when do you travel? When are you home alone? Are you planning to move? Who do you rely on? What mistakes do you usually make when you feel stressed? They're not building a relationship. They're building a timeline. Patient predators master the art of the perfect performance. They present the best version of themselves, polite, trustworthy, generous, all while slowly gaining access to parts of your life that should never be shared too soon. And when do they strike? Not when you're strong, not when you're alert, not when you feel something is wrong. They wait for the moment you slip, the moment you relax, the moment you finally say, "Everything feels stable now." That's when they move, not out of emotion, but out of strategy. The Stoics were very clear about this. Seneca taught that true wisdom isn't paranoia, but preparedness. Stay awake even when life feels calm. Stay aware even when nothing seems wrong. Because danger doesn't always come with noise. Sometimes it comes wrapped in patience. So how do you protect yourself from someone like this? You set boundaries early, even with people who seem kind. You don't give immediate access to your private world. You pay attention to consistency, not charm. And most importantly, you remember this: trust is not a gift. Trust is something earned slowly, through time, through integrity, through actions that stay the same whether people are watching or not. Patient predators rely on one thing: your comfort. They want you relaxed, unguarded, careless. But when you stay aware, when you protect your routines, when you hold your boundaries like a shield, their patience becomes useless. Because a predator can wait for years, but they cannot deceive someone who refuses to fall asleep at the gate. As we reach the end of this video, I want you to do something important, something simple, but potentially life-saving. Think back to the 5 signs we've talked about. And if any of those signs remind you of a specific person in your life, don't ignore that instinct. This isn't about being dramatic. This isn't about assuming the worst in people. This is about respecting your intuition, the part of you that senses danger long before your mind can explain it. Most threats in life are not loud or obvious. They don't announce themselves with shouting, violence, or open hatred. The real dangers are subtle, quiet, strategic. You're not dealing with minor negativity. You may be standing in front of a genuine threat. Someone who studies your habits, chips away at your confidence, manipulates. Your environment pretends to be a friend, escalates slowly, and waits for the perfect moment when your guard is down. So here's what you need to do next. First, save this video. Keep the information close. Because when your intuition starts whispering again, maybe at night, maybe during a strange interaction, maybe when something just feels off, you'll need these signs to confirm what your gut already knows. Second, watch more about covert narcissists. These patterns don't exist in isolation. People who quietly plan harm often share traits with highly manipulative personalities, individuals who disguise cruelty with charm, who play the long game, who hide their intentions behind kindness. Understanding them is not fear, it's strategy. Remember this: a person who simply dislikes you will make it obvious. They'll distance themselves. They'll argue, criticize, roll their eyes, or avoid you. But a person who wants you gone, a person who wants you erased from their life, will do the opposite. They will study you. They will sabotage you quietly. They will get close just to gather information. They will escalate small behaviors into bigger ones, and they will wait, patiently, for the moment you're unprotected. There's a quote often misunderstood, but deeply true. It's not paranoia if they're actually planning something. Your awareness is not weakness. Your intuition is not overreaction. Your caution is not fear, it is self-protection. And the Stoics taught us this beautifully. Calm is strength, clarity is armor, and awareness is survival. The more grounded you are, the harder you are to manipulate. The more alert you are, the less power darkness has over you. So stay calm, stay steady, stay alert. And most importantly, stay alive. You deserve a life guided by clarity, not confusion. By boundaries, not fear. By wisdom, not blindness. You are not powerless. You are prepared,